Do you have a problem with the retribution here towards the Astros?
I really don't. And Joe Kelly was out there with the glasses. He was giving me real Ricky Vaughn in Major League Wild Thing vibes. Like, he was throwing behind hitters. He was trying to hit people. He was doing it intentionally. You could tell by the way that he was talking to the other team. Joe Kelly was not on that Dodgers team that lost in the World Series. But don't forget, he was on a Red Sox team that lost that same playoff year to those Astros that were cheating. So he still has a little chip on his shoulder from that. We all circled this game on the calendar, the first Dodgers-Astros game. We all knew that the Astros were going to get thrown at, and they got thrown at. I don't have a problem with them getting thrown at. However, a 3-0 pitch behind somebody at the head level, I do have a problem with where he threw those pitches, not that he threw them at the Astros.
As a die-easy Red Sox fan, you would get an opportunity to mention them in this segment, wouldn't you? You would mention the Red Sox, but you're exactly right. And Dusty Baker said it best. You're right. You throwing at somebody's head like that, you could kill someone. And Eduardo, I don't have to tell you this. Young folks like me and you, when we were growing up, you were serious about standing in that batter's box. I was not. I was like, I'll play if y'all fast pitch a tennis ball. Because guys were on the mound thinking that they were Bob Gibson, and I got hit with the ball a couple of times, and I'm like, I'm good. So I agree with this is a very dangerous sport, in particular one where somebody can be throwing at somebody's head like this. But this is kind of the honor code of that game. Bench clearing brawls happen in that game. Beaning people does happen in that game. So many unwritten rules happen in that game. So therefore, if you cheat as flagrant as they did, and you win the World Series, and you face the team that you beat in the World Series, there should be some retribution.
All right, guys. Let me put it this simply. But playing the game, especially at this high of a level, if you're going to throw at someone, you're going to hit someone, do it right away. All right? Send the message right away, Joe Kelly. If you're going to do it, you had Jose Altuve, first pitch, he ends up popping up. Do it there. If you're going to do it to Alex Bregman, do it on the 0-0 pitch. Don't do it on a 3-0 pitch, throw behind his head where his career could be in jeopardy. And then you're going to throw a curveball to Correa. I'm okay with that. That one slipped. The one to Gurriel slipped also. I'm okay with that. But don't come in and throw a pitch behind his head. I really do not think that he was trying to hit him. Was he trying to send a message? The message was sent. The warning was then given to the Houston Astros. That warning shouldn't have been given to the Houston Astros. I think that the Dodgers and the Astros have a lot to lose if there's a bench clearing brawl. So many suspensions, so many injuries that can happen, something that the Houston Astros don't want to deal with, and something that the LA Dodgers can't afford to do is get into suspensions moving forward, especially in a pandemic where all teams are supposed to stay on their benches. Just so many issues here, so many underlying and overlying issues. But at the end of the day, Alex Bregman, man, I give him credit for not even looking at Joe Kelly after that ball went behind his neck.
It's a really good point. I mean, I always say it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So I think that there is justice in throwing at Astros, but you don't throw behind them at head level. I think that Joe Kelly was wrong there. But after the game, he said about that pitch, a 3-0 pitch that was up and behind the batter, said, not my best pitch. He's not even lying about it. Like, it's going to get to the point this season where throwers throw at Astros and then admit that they were doing it after the game. We're going to see that in the next few weeks, I believe.
But what I heard from Eduardo, and please clarify this for me, you didn't necessarily have a problem with them trying to get retribution. You just felt if you want to come correct and do it instantly. So you feel like part of it was in retaliation, but the other part was he was just wild, because I heard you say that that pitch to Correa actually slipped out of his hand.
Look, he didn't throw a fastball for a strike the entire time he was out there. All right, not one for a strike. He threw 2 knuckle curveballs for strikes. That was it. And then against Carlos Correa, he went all knuckle curveballs against him. Not one fastball, meaning that he had no control of the fastball. He was shaking off. Remember, let's not forget, we also heard Dusty Baker in the interaction, because there are no fans in the stands, when there was a play at first base where Michael Brantley was running. Joe Kelly then was stepped on by Brantley because his foot was in the way. Kelly stuck around, and you could hear Dusty Baker yelling at him to get back on the mound with a little profanity. You could hear every word that is being said there. Carlos Correa staring at Joe Kelly, also, after a curveball, didn't look good. I'm a pitcher, and I throw a curveball, and you're staring at me like that? Hey, man, I'm a little out of control here. You should get that. And then after the strikeout, Joe Kelly doing what he did, which I felt it was very childish, taunting Correa, taunting the Houston Astros, that right there was unnecessary. The biggest issue of all this was when he threw behind Alex Bregman and the taunting of the faces of what he did with Correa. All those things are all unnecessary. You get a lot of emotions flying through, and that's one thing that you're going to get in a competitive nature, and especially when there are no fans in the stands and you can hear every little word that's being said. Oh man, it's escalating. Major League Baseball has to make sure that they do what the NBA did. And Jalen, you can attest to this with Ron Artest back in the day when he went into the stands and all that. When the NBA set that rule of no one can step foot on court to at least control the emotions there, they were able to do that. If not, you would get a suspension. Major League Baseball has to do something like that when it comes to position players staying in their positions and also bench players staying in the benches and bullpens in the bullpen.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.